Alright, what's up guys? Now that I'm in Super Saiyan mode, I lost my fucking internet connection. It's a good thing that video uploaded when it did, because I would have been fucked. There's a lot to talk about, but before I get started with this Impact review, we had a thread last night while we were watching it. It was myself, Darren, Tyler Reigns, and I think it was on Usher's wall, but it was timeline, but it was hosted by Bryan Von Degroff. I'm going to put his link in the description because I believe he's got a channel. Add that man on Facebook today. He's a funny dude. Talk to him about like divas and stuff. He's a funny dude. All right, ignore my porn star mustache, please. Okay, so this show started off with EC3. EC3, the new champion. And he says that Dixie let him run the show or something. And, oh, by the way, before I start this, I just want to say that this Impact could have been way better. I can't believe we went from the shows we've had recently to this, but whatever. Yeah, he said that he's making the rules and that he's gonna have 3 world title matches tonight. Matt Hardy comes out and he's like, "Who wants to see Matt Burchamp?" And then he's like, "Oh, you ain't getting no title shot, buddy, because you're in a handicap match, a handicap match." And he puts him in a handicap match against the Dirty Heels. The Dirty Heels are like this, all mad and shit. And then they beat the crap out of Matt Hardy, and then they win the match. EC3 on commentary should be a regular thing because he was kind of funny. He was annoying, but he was funny. And then, yeah, the Dirty Heels beat Matt Hardy. And then the Rising... Oh, God, let's see, look at that. Hang on. The Rising comes out. "Stand up for professional wrestling!" And they're disbanded, so they're like saying that they're going to go their separate ways. And Eli Drake is in crutches, and he's like, "I'm going to pay you back for getting me into this business, into this company." And Micah doesn't say anything. And then Micah and Drake leave. But then Ethan is like, oh, he's at ringside still. And he's like, he says when a faction breaks up, they continue to wrestle other factions in 6-man tag matches. And he's making fun of Seth Rollins, which was funny. And then he brings out the Revolution. And then, fuck. The Revolution is having a hard time getting along. Koya pretty much had Drew Galloway pinned. Bam! And then Abyss is like, "No, I want the pin." And then they're fighting. So then, like, they get knocked out of the ring by Drew Galloway. And Drew Galloway pins Manic with the sickest running kick I've ever seen. He, like, kicks him in his foot, like, connects right with his head and knocks out Manic. And Manic loses the match for his team. It looks like the Revolution's disbanding. Right? And then Ken Anderson is backstage, and he goes up to EC3 like, "Hey, why don't you put the belt on the line against me?" You know? And Carter's like, I don't think so. Because you got a match with Bram. And Bram is fucking crazy. Because they have a match. Anderson has a match with Bram. And it's a pretty good match. It's kind of hard to tell who's going to win. But Bram throws a chair at Anderson, getting himself disqualified. Then he, like, throws Anderson into the steel steps. And Anderson's, like, knocked out. And Bram's like, "I hate everybody! Bring me his mic!" So he takes his mic and then he beats like Anderson for like 5 minutes. He's like, "La Quifa, what? La Quifa, what?" And he keeps hitting Ken Anderson in the head, and he's knocking out Ken Anderson. Bram is psycho. They're protecting him, bro. They're protecting him. Yeah. There's a lot to talk about, so I'm trying to get done quick. This match was probably the match of the night, I guess I would say. A street fight with the pro bands. The man, Jesse Goddard, he comes out with a fucking cape like this. And then Robbie E comes out with like a rock and roll Skrillex song or whatever. And they're fighting, brutal street fight. They're throwing each other around. Robbie E like jumped on from the top rope. And he almost fell on Jesse, but Jesse moves. So Robbie hits the floor. Bam. Darren, I think it was, said that Robbie E looked like the heel Robbie or the left smart buster. But This match ended because even though they had a war with like candlesticks, Jesse Goddard's hit this like his finisher on Robbie, and Robbie kicked out. But then he puts him in the walls of Jericho. The Adonis lock with a chair on him, like he's sitting on the chair and he's got the chair on top of Robbie, and Robbie doesn't tap out, but he passes out. I felt bad for Robbie, but this feud's going to continue, I guess. Good match, though. Very good match. This probably happened earlier, and I probably failed to talk about it, but they did part 2 of the Jeff Jarrett sit-down interview. And Jeff Jarrett said that he's the King of the Mountain champion, but the championship is going to Global Force. And I believe this because it was the global title. So now they're going to take it to Global Force, and it's probably going to be the global world title because, that's the name of the belt, right? My internet hates me. Anyway, EC3 comes out to defend his world title. And I'm thinking the whole time, who hasn't wrestled yet? And then he calls out, he pronounces the name completely wrong. He says, I'm going to call out the first man that I beat, Norm Furman. And he said Furman, but his name is Norm Furnham, which is pretty Peter Avalon in the Indies. And that was his first opponent ever when he wrestled. He debuted at Bound for Glory. And Norm Furnham comes out with the Beastie Boys Fight for Your Right. Dun, 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 dun. And then, like, he buries him, like, in a minute. He squashes him. And then EC3 goes, my second title defense will be, well, you've seen what I can do to a man from the land. What can I do to a man from the seas? And I'm like, oh, please, God, no. And then, give me a shell, yeah. Shark Boy comes out, and Stone Cold Shark Boy, and he's lost a little weight, but he's still chubby or whatever. And then he beats Shark Boy. And then he says, my third and final opponent. And then Kurt Angle comes out and says, shut your damn mouth. I want my title match tonight. I want my belt back. So it's a main event, Angle versus EC3 again. Beautiful, right? Beautiful. And then part 2, I don't know why they did another part 2 with Jeff Jarrett, but he pretty much said that when he thinks about TNA, he thinks about the old days. Pretty much he was talking about the old days before Hogan came in, when they had Styles and Joe and Foley and all of them. And I agree with him. And then he said he never thought that TNA would be one of his partners. I didn't either. They hated this man a month ago, but they're friends again. I like that. Now, also earlier in the night, Bobby Lashley said, hey, EC Carter, you defending your title? My name better be in that list. And then he said, no, because you're fighting Tyrus. Tyrus versus Lashley in a big man match. That was the next match that EC3 made. And good match, a big man match, but they were still doing slams and power slams and stuff. It was like King Kong versus Godzilla. And Lashley spears Tyrus. Bam! And he pins Tyrus. That was like one of the turning points where EC3's night went from good to bad. After Angle's announcements, then that. So EC3, as you can see, his night is from like good to worse or whatever. Velvet Sky versus Madison Rayne. That was a match that was announced. Velvet comes out with like a rock metal look. And Madison's like, you don't belong here. People like me belong here. And then Velvet just beats the crap out of her. And this was a pretty good match. It was better than the NXT Divas. And Velvet Sky gets the win. And then the main event, Angle versus EC3. Not as exciting as their last match that they had last week at all. And long story short, EC3, like, he hit a referee and then, like, he got locked with the ankle lock. So as he's tapping, another referee rings the bell. And I thought maybe he lost the title. But the first referee disqualified him. So he retained. And I'm already seeing traces of Seth Rollins, which I don't like. I don't want EC3 to be a coward. That's not good at all, and I don't like it. And they shouldn't do it. Also, one thing that was going on throughout the night was EC3 was announcing the long-awaited return of Dixie Carter. The first time she was back on TV since August. So, for some reason, when we come back from break, EC3's in his underwear in the ring. Tyrus is with him, and then Dixie Carter comes out with a change of heart. She's like, darling, I did some bad things in my past, but I'm changing it. This is about the fans. And Carter's like, what? You're supposed to be celebrating with me, Auntie. It's like, no. And then she says that somebody else is going to have to take charge. Finally, a new on-air authority figure. We haven't had one of those since she was taken off TV. And then she's like, it's not me. darling, but it's not you either. And she officially turned face, walking out on EC3 saying, I'm sorry. And I thought that Billy Corgan was going to come out. I was waiting to hear some Smashing Pumpkins music. But then the show just ends. Good. Welcome back, Dixie Carter. I can't wait for the on-air authority figure. But I don't know. I wasn't a fan of this show. And then ROH came on after that, and I fell asleep. Which sucks, because I heard that the main event was good. But, yeah, TNA could have been better, but you get what you get, right? Rate, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoy this Impact review. Thank you, Bryan Degroff, for the thread. Bryan Von Degroff. Add him on Facebook and subscribe. And happy birthday, Courtney Love. 51.